I love talking shit about JD Vance, and that is exactly what we are going to do today. So, if you need a reason to smile, or if you just want to laugh at the absolute century of humiliation JD seems to be living through, you're going to want to stick around for this entire video. Because JD Vance just got publicly humiliated by the Pope. I'm not even joking. It literally never stops for this guy. He was just kicked out, removed, and completely cut off from meeting the Pope as everything around him continues to crumble. We are going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. JD Vance's career is spiraling down the drain. His poll numbers are in the basement, and it looks like Marco Rubio has officially moved in and snatched the title of Trump's successor right out from under him. And believe it or not, that power struggle is part of the reason Vance got the boot from the Vatican. We have a lot to get into today, including the future of Vance in 2028 and a deeply upsetting story involving Governor Josh Shapiro that you definitely need to hear. But of course, we are going to start with a little JD Vance bashing first. Before we get into the details of why he was exiled from this meeting, we need to hear exactly what he had to say about the Pope before the floor fell out from under him.
Number one, when the Pope says that God is never on the side of those who wield the sword, there is more than a 1,000-year tradition of just war theory. Okay? Now, we can, of course, have disagreements about whether this or that conflict is just, but I think that it's important, in the same way that it's important for the Vice President of the United States to be careful when I talk about matters of public policy, I think it's very, very important for the Pope to be careful when he talks about matters of theology. And I think that one of these issues here is that there has been, again, hey, random dude screaming, I told you I'd respond to your point. I just want to respond to this question first. But I think one of the issues here is that if you're going to opine on matters of theology, you've got to be careful. You've got to make sure it's anchored in the truth. And that's one of the things that I try to do. And it's certainly something I would expect from the clergy, whether they're Catholic or Protestant. Now,
JD Vance is quite literally acting out that Bob Dylan song, With God on Our Side. He's doing exactly what every warmonger in history has done, claiming there's some divine justification for his actions. And look at Trump. I'm pretty sure the man would spontaneously combust if he touched a Bible that didn't have his own name on it or a price tag he could grift off of. Yet, everyone in this administration is out here preaching that this is a divine war, that Jesus himself has ordained their agenda. Give me a break. It is a total lie. And that's exactly why Vance, the ultimate fake Catholic that he is so rattled. He can't handle the Pope and other bishops actually calling him out on his nonsense. We also have to remember, this isn't the first time Vance has been at war with his own church. I want to touch on that history for a second, because it's important context before we get back to the part I can't stop laughing about, which is JD Vance getting kicked out of the Vatican like a common trespasser. It is important to remember that JD isn't just going to war with the Pope, but most of the Catholic Church in the US Conference of Catholic Bishops issued a statement earlier last month pushing back at JD Vance after he said Pope Leo should be careful when speaking about church teachings. For over 1,000 years, the Catholic Church has taught just war theory, and it is that long tradition the Holy Father carefully references in his comments on war. A constant tenet of that 1,000-year tradition is a nation can only legitimately take up the sword in self-defense once all peace efforts have failed, and that is to be a just war. It must be a defense against another who actively wages war, which is what the Holy Father actually said. He does not listen to the prayers of those who wage war. When Pope Leo speaks as Supreme Pastor of the Universal Church, he is not merely offering opinions on theology. JD Vance, you asshole. He is preaching the gospel and exercising the 4 minutes ministry. As the Vicar of Christ, I'm sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. The consistent teaching of the Church is insistent that all people of goodwill must pray and work toward lasting peace while avoiding the evils and injustices that accompany all wars. Of course, criticisms of JD Vance are nothing new to Pope Leo because an account of his in mid-April of last year, before he became Pope, reposted someone else's rebuke of Trump's meeting in the Oval Office with Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele and pointed to an op-ed by auxiliary Catholic bishop in Washington, D.C., highlighting the suffering of migrants and calling out JD Vance. In a more pointed example, he reshared a Catholic newspaper article titled JD Vance is wrong. Jesus doesn't ask us to rank our love for others. So there's a little bit of beef between Leo and Vance. Of course, I think most of the world is going to go ahead and side with Pope Leo, given that he's the Pope, and JD Vance is just a smug asshole, which is the reason that that smug asshole will not again be seeing the Pope. JD Vance, you have once again been kicked out. Vance loses out to Marco Rubio, and major diplomatic snub. Catholic convert JD Vance appears to have missed a shot at a reunion with Pope Leo, with his frenemy Marco Rubio tapped for the honor instead. A Vatican source told Reuters that the Secretary of State is expected to travel to Italy and meet the pontiff on Thursday. This marks almost a year since Rubio and Vance met Pope Leo together on May 19, 2025. With the Illinois-born Pope has so far declined Vance's invitation to visit the White House. That's just so funny. White Sox fan Pope Leo, born Robert Francis Provost in the south side of Chicago, has had a strange relationship with his homeland since ascending to the papacy. While Leo has made many veiled comments about tyrants and warmongers, Donald Trump, of course, threw down the gauntlet and started attacking him on Truth Social. Vance himself, as we know, took a swipe at the Pope while at a Turning Point USA event, which he sounded like an idiot. JD Vance later softened his tone, as he should, praising Leo for preaching the gospel, as he should, and asking for prayers. But it seems fellow Roman Catholic Rubio is the MAGA member blessed with a rare face-to-face meeting. Rubio has also emerged as Trump's favored figures and a key rival to Vance inside MAGA circles. Both men have long been viewed as potential 2028 contenders, with Trump himself floating each as a possible successor, making Rubio's Vatican meeting land as more than just a diplomatic courtesy. It is clearly a swipe at JD Vance. Amid Vance's failed efforts with Iran war talks last month, CNN's chief data analyst Harry Inter talks pretty aggressively, doesn't he? Poll readings reveal that Vance is historically the least popular vice president at this point in their vice presidency, with his net approval rating at minus 18 points. Ouch. Behind the scenes, Trump reportedly asked aides to rank Vance's performance, even as he attended a UFC event alongside Rubio while his VP was failing at working on ceasefire negotiations in Pakistan. If we had to rate JD Vance's performance right now, we'd have to call it an absolute unmitigated disaster. He's officially the least popular vice president in American history. And guess what? Trump hates him. Donald Trump is literally asking his aides, so, Rubio or Vance, who do you guys actually like? And as we reported when I was talking with David Pakman last week, the consistent message from inside the White House is they are backing Marco Rubio. It's not just the staff either. Trump is hitting up the mega donors at high-stakes fundraisers asking them the same thing, and they are choosing Rubio every single time. And now, JD doesn't even get to see the Pope. Honestly, that's probably for the best. It's safer for the Holy Father to keep a guy like Vance at a distance, given everything we know. But what does this say about JD Vance's 2028 presidential dreams? Honestly, I can't even keep the smile off my face. It tells us his hopes are dead. They are in the gutter. They are falling apart in real time. And that makes me incredibly happy. I want to see this MAGA infighting consume the entire Republican primary. In my opinion, Trump doesn't even want a successor. He wants the GOP to implode the moment he leaves so he can claim he was the only thing holding it together. Watching MAGA eat itself alive would be a beautiful thing, and I am here for it. But with that said, we need to turn our attention to the Democratic side. Look, we have to get through the midterms first, obviously, but eventually we're looking at 2028. And I want to make one thing very clear to you. I am going to be biased. I'm going to tell you exactly who I think is presidential material and who I think is completely blowing it. And right now, someone who is clearly angling for 2028 is already making massive mistakes. I'm talking about Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania. Governor busted helping rival party win for petty reason. A Democratic governor, Josh Shapiro, is accused of backstabbing a member of his own party to get revenge for a perceived personal slight. Josh Shapiro secretly helped a Republican state treasurer candidate defeat her Democratic challenger in 2024 because the fellow Dem had criticized his vice presidential ambitions, according to a leaked reporting Axios revealed on Sunday. Ben Brooks, a Shapiro-backed congressional candidate and the president of Pennsylvania's firefighter union, told students at Lehigh University on Wednesday that the governor had asked his union to back Republican Stacey Garrity in the state's 2024 treasurer race rather than the Democratic candidate Erin McClelland. That was a request, ironically, from Governor Shapiro because Erin was running against her. Brooks, 53, said after a student asked why the union had endorsed Garrity in 2024. In July 2024, as Shapiro was among the crop of politicians aiming to be Kamala Harris's running mate, Erin McClelland had snubbed her state's governor for the role and instead pitched North Carolina's governor instead. I want a VP pick that's secure enough to be second under a woman, is content to be VP, and won't undermine the president to maneuver his own election, and doesn't sweep sexual harassment under the rug, McClelland wrote in a now deleted post on Twitter. I want someone that can speak to rural voters, that is Roy Cooper. McClelland was referring to Shapiro's team handling of a 2023 sexual harassment allegation against his top aide, Mike Verab, who stayed at his job for months after the complaint was made and then abruptly resigned. Shapiro declined to endorse McClelland, the Democrat in the 2024 race. Josh Shapiro had requested because Stacey Erin McClelland came out hard against something on Josh Shapiro, and really the Democratic Party as a whole turned on Erin McClelland, Brooks added. And he said, I would like you guys to endorse Stacey Garrity, the Republican. Now let's talk about Josh Shapiro. This is the same guy who is out here trying to frame Zohran Mamdani as an anti-Semite, refusing to endorse him even when he's running against a documented sex criminal. Are we actually serious right now? This is the vote blue no matter who centrist crowd. The people who are always demanding that the left and the progressives fall in line behind candidates who, I don't know, maybe dismiss a literal genocide or continue to bankroll the Israeli regime. Yet these same centrists are the first ones to turn around and back Republicans the second they feel personally slighted. I'm telling you right now, I don't love this. I'm not a fan. If you're that vindictive, I have to wonder if you actually have the chops to lead this country. This is trustworthy reporting coming out of Axios, and it paints a very ugly picture. Look, I'm not going to say everything I'm feeling right now because we have midterms to win, and that has to be our primary focus. But when we are looking ahead to 2028, I want to make this story clear, because this is breaking today and it is a major red flag. I told you I was going to be biased, but the only reason I'm biased is because I'm honest. I'm not going to sugarcoat the failures of our own side just for the sake of party loyalty. If you want to support that kind of unfiltered honesty, then you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button right now and leave a like on this video. And for the real ones who stuck around until the very end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. Do not let them silence you. I'm Liam Prescott, and I'll see you in the next one.